I'm Maryland Newsline's James Sanborn. I recently sat down with Frank Kratovil, the Democratic candidate from Maryland's 1st Congressional District, to talk about key issues confronting the nation. Kratovil faces Republican State Senator Andy Harris in the general election. Kratovil says he's a moderate politician who can reach across the aisle for solutions. He's been endorsed by Republican Congressman Wayne Gilchrist. We kick things off by talking about his feelings on the Wall Street bailout.
The only problem I had, or the biggest problem I had, was the pork that was added. The answer is that part of it bothered me. The counter to that is I think clearly something needed to be done. We have been listening for years to people that tell us to let Wall Street go, let the financial markets go, let the free market reign, and the rest of us will work, will turn out fine. And the bottom line is that is not what has happened. It didn't happen in the savings and loan, it didn't happen in Enron, and it's not happening now. I think we need to improve and increase federal oversights of the markets. I think we need both short-term goals that reduce the price of gas at the pumps, but I think we also need long-term goals that move us towards renewable energy, and not just away from our dependence on foreign oil, but away from our dependence on oil in general. Increased domestic drilling, I think, is part of a short-term solution, but it's not a great solution, and it's certainly not a long-term one. The big issue is moving us away from our dependence on oil and recognizing that we need to move towards renewable fuel. We need to look at renewable energy, wind, solar, biomass, and do really what we should have been doing back in the 1970s. I don't know how you define victory or failure. Let me begin with that. And I think even the phrasing our presence in Iraq on those terms, I think, is one of the problems, because you hear consistently those that advocate us staying in Iraq using the term victory and saying we need to remain until we win. And again, I don't know exactly what that means. The question of what do we do now, I think everyone now sort of recognizes that we're in a position to begin withdrawing our troops. I do think it's a tragedy that we have 47 million people in this country that are uninsured. We have millions more that are now struggling to keep up with the rising health care costs. And we have small businesses that can't afford to cover their employees even though they'd like to. Everybody in their lifetime is obviously going to need health care, and we don't have insurance to cover that. So I think the second principle is requiring it. What we can't do is continue to do what we've been doing, which is essentially nothing. Border security is part of the solution, but I think the bigger issue is dealing with the employment issue. Now, on the shore, I think there is a fair argument that there are some industries that need additional workers. The seafood industry, perhaps the poultry industry. I think in those industries, you're going to have to pay people a lot of money to get them to work in the chicken houses or get them to pick crabs. So I think in those industries, I think there is a demonstrated need for additional workers, and if that's true, everybody forgets that's the whole purpose of visas. There needs to be a demonstrated need. In the legal immigration process, I think we need to streamline it, because what we've done is, in a sense, we've made it more difficult for people to do it the right way, and so they can't do it because it's very difficult to do, and at the same time we're talking about rewarding those who have done it the wrong way. I think we ought to reverse it.